And what I reflected on is how easy it is that we give away our power, that we confer at levels that are really quite stupefying. We imbue, project, confer power onto objects, other people, etc., that they do not inherently have. And then that power comes back to haunt us. And so what I've been saying ever since the last election is, kind of this little maxim I said to myself, I'm simply not going to let this political situation take power over me. I'm not going to imbue these politicians with a power they don't inherently have. And so this ties into one of my favorite deeper dive topics. The word in Tibetan is Shenwang, Shenwang. Shen means other, and Wang means power. So other power. And what it refers to a number of things, but in my work with it, it refers to just this, that we are always giving away our power. And in so doing, this unwitting, unconscious, insatiable propensity we have to project onto others. This projection thing is amazing. It doesn't just occur on secondary, tertiary levels with what we know as psychological projection. And that, of course, is ubiquitous. In integral theory, which I'm a big fan of, it constitutes the third of the four: waking up, growing up, cleaning up, showing up. This deals with cleaning up how we project. Psychologically, we see that when we project moods onto the day. But even more foundationally, this kind of ontological projection, how we're just always conferring onto externality power it doesn't have. And so what I do in my work is I use, the medium of the dream to really explore this. Because when we're in a non-lucid dream, a dream where we don't know that we're dreaming, what makes that dream powerful, to the extent that you can have, amazing, horrific nightmares where you break out in a sweat and your heart's pounding, is this unconscious transfer of power, where we empower the dream with a reality, reified means to make real, a reified status it does not inherently have. And so it's a fantastic way, the dream is a fantastic way to look at our role as magnificent creators. That in the dream, we create an entire world. It's solipsistic in that sense, ultimate projection. And when we wake up to that projection, that is what transforms a non-lucid dream to a lucid one. So the display's still there, the politicians are still there, coming back to the daily state. But what previously had so much power over you no longer has that same kind of power. So that's the great gift of lucidity. And so what these practices do, whether it's dream yoga, whether it's meditation, is it's a transfer of power back to its original source. That'd be us. And so with all this whole political thing, it's like, I'm not gonna get so swept up in this stuff. I'm not gonna get so obsessed, and I am not going to confer upon these politicians a power they don't inherently have. Because otherwise I'm just gonna get all stirred up, and hey, this is what the media is about. I mean, whether it's MSNBC or Fox News, right? They're there to sell, and they're there to whip up all this stuff. And so it's just a very interesting thing to explore, how it is that we're really not victims of these politicians. We're not victims even of the external world. We're victims of our imputations, projections upon this world, which then like a boomerang come back to control us. And so in the traditional spiritual literature, they talk about siddhi, S-I-D-D-H-I, psychic power. Comes in two forms. Relative siddhi is the more conventional, clairaudience, clairvoyance, the ability to fly, all these psychic thingies. I mean, that's okay. That if you use it properly, that's okay. But that also can turn into a really powerful kind of sorcerer's trap. So what's much more important is absolute siddhi. And so the jingle that I use is that relative siddhi, relative power, psychic power, is when you have power over the world. Absolute siddhi is when the world no longer has power over you. That's the real power. The world no longer has power over you. And so this, to me, it's just a fantastic opportunity. And otherwise, what is just such a series of upsets and upsetting circumstances and obstacles, to understand this process and to work with it. That can we, in fact, transfer power back to its original source, take ownership. That's what projections, working with projections, cleaning up is, taking ownership, owning up to our projections, whether they're psychological or the more foundational projection that's beyond our scope to discuss today, which is actually the projection that creates the sense of duality altogether. That's the fundamental projection, that there's a world out there separate from you. There isn't. We project that. That's not the way things are. And then upon that foundational projection, then immediately cascades all these other secondary, tertiary, quaternary projections that we then fundamentally live our lives completely lost and embedded in. And this huge topic in psychology and spirituality. But here's one last little thing that may be of some benefit to unearthing the ubiquity of these projections. Just see if it's not true for you, that whenever you're affected more than informed, when something affects you more than it informs you, you're probably dealing with a projection. And so just there, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm projecting all the time. Yeah, we're projecting all the time. It levels it, I mean, really, that's what it means to be asleep. We project at levels we are hardly even aware of, creating the very sense of self and other upon this kind of cascade of projections.